What you are. Everybody thinks that you're a superstar. I got pretty close, but I got no cigar. Just touching bunch of souvenirs I saw from the start, written in the image of my body art.
Welcome to Cutthroat Queens Podcast, the place where the bones of all those dissolved by the blob come in search of love. We're here to take an open and honest look at indie horror. My name is Brett Mitchell-Kent. I'm joined by Cupid's dapper gay uncle, Elton Skelter, and patient zero of the Tinder virus, Chelsea Pumpkins.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh my God. Is it that time already? Broken Hearts Day already.
It is.
My heart isn't broken. I'm full of love.
Yeah, everyone else is except me. Let's just move on from this right now. We are joined today by the magnificent Ruth Anna Evans. Ruth Anna is a writer of short horror fiction who lives in the heart of all that is sinister, the American Midwest. She has been composing prose of all types since childhood, but finds something truly delightful in putting her nightmares on the page. Her stories are full of twists and turns with relatable protagonists and startling endings. Her fiction is sometimes dreadfully dark, and no one is safe. Other times, her fiction is from a more fun side of horror, with little people cutting off body parts as a favor. Ruth Anna has a collection, No One Can Help You, Tales of Lost Children and Other Nightmares, a novella, and many novelettes and short stories available on Amazon. We will link them all below, but welcome, Ruth Anna, to the show.
Yay!
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you are most welcome. We've been very excited about this episode.
Me too.
So, if you couldn't tell, we are doing a fun and unique, not at all played out Valentine's Day episode. So a lot of this is going to be mostly just visiting with Ruth Anna and some of the cool things that she has coming up and a specific anthology, but we are going to end everything off with a fun little Valentine's Day themed reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the highlight of today is having Ruth Anna here, and we know that you are really excited about getting Ooze out the door. So can you give us a little summary of what Ooze is all about?
Sure. So Ooze is a 21-story collection of short body horror fiction. It's disgusting and delightful and was so much fun to put together. It started off actually as a chapbook idea. I just planned on having 10 authors with 1,000 word stories and just pop that baby out. But the stories I started getting in were just so good. I had to make it bigger. So it's about a novella length now with the 21 authors. And the stories range from about 800 words to about 2,400 words. So it's nice and short still. Little bursts.
Little bursts
of body horror. I'm about to gush. Like I saw the whole route with this. I saw as soon as you posted that you were going to open it. I saw that you wanted to do a little chapbook and you'd already invited a few of your favorite authors to it. What it's become from where you started is absolutely magnificent. The stories you obviously were receiving were just so different and so versatile and so just incredibly. They melded together perfectly, and the TOC you've created is absolutely fantastic. So I want you to be commended. I love this book. I've
thank
been
you
ranting
so
about it
much.
for days.
Wow, I love it too, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, so we were lucky enough to get to take a look at it, and I think that there are, like Elton said, just so many different facets to it. I personally really loved was it Lena Ing? Am I saying that name right? I'm terrible with names.
I think it's Eng.
Eng.
But I'm not Lena sure. Eng's I did look it up.
Story in there was amazing. And then yours as well, actually, Ruth Anna, was really great. So looking at how versatile it was, what prompted you to make the leap from, we all know that you have quite a bit of work out there. What made you want to go from publishing your own work to pulling together this chapbook that evolved into just a full novella antho?
So it was sort of an immediate thing that happened. I was wrapping up a novella that I was writing, a haunted house novella, and sort of in between projects, which is when I'm just kind of let the ideas come. I don't allow any ideas in when I'm working on a project. So I was ready for an idea. And I had just come off of a brief bipolar episode when what had happened is I was just like creating art left and right. And as a way of coping. And one of the pieces that I created was really body horror. And I was like, I can't just walk away from this element in my psyche of body horror. And I'd already done several medical body horror stories myself. And I just wanted to see what other people could do and go outside of my area. And then I was like, oh, short body horror, because that's what I wanted to read was short body horror. And I was like, well, why not? I figured I'd keep it small. I'd keep it easy, just pop it together, stick it out there. And then it just sort of grew and grew and grew. And now I'm all the way to an anthology.
And a very, very exceptional one at that. You've got some really big names in there as well. You've got Judith Sonnet and Roland Bercy Jr. Like,
it was so kind
names.
of them. Yeah. Their stories are wild.
Yeah. I can't get Judith out of my head. Some of the language she uses is traumatizing, to say the least. I think I had a dream about that last night.
Did you see my content warning for Judith's?
Just everything about it is disgusting. Don't read this.
Yeah, absolutely disgusting and obscene.
I actually really appreciated the content warnings in the front. I think that's a way that horror is moving, and I hope that the momentum stays up and we can get a little bit more of those, because I want to be able to read an anthology but know what I'm getting into.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's really, really important to let, as creators, to let people know up front what we're putting out there. So if there's something that doesn't gel with them in individual stories, they know to skip that one and can still enjoy the volume as it is. And I think that's really important. So it was really, really cool to see a really nice sort of content warning page up front as well. A lot of times it's hidden in the back, but for this one it was just right up front and right there for you.
I appreciate that too. There's sometimes I don't read an anthology because I'm not sure what's going to be in it. I don't have a lot of triggers. There's just a few things that I'd rather not read. So I just do it because I want it for myself.
Now I'm slinking in shame because I put them in the back of my anthology. Elton.
Oh,
why couldn't we have this discussion like a month ago?
Well, I'm sure you put the page number in the table of contents.
I did. Yeah. That's the interesting thing too, is like when I was putting that together, I was just looking at other books I had on my shelf to see how it was done. And so it's nice that it's getting more normalized and used wider, and like it'll give creators more of a look at how they want it to go to. So anyway, very cool.
And I think it's just a blanket statement at this point, just to say fuck you to people who don't think that they're necessary or think that they're worthwhile. They are necessary, because when you read something that you want to love, you want to come from a place of excitement about it. You want to really enjoy that. And so a content warning lets you pick out the things, it lets you curate your own reading list. And so for anyone who's saying that they're not necessary or they're not valuable, I would beg you to reassess your opinion and try not to swear at you again. Sorry. I
was like, let's see where this is going. Tell them to yeet themselves off a cliff.
I'm very passionate. I can't help it.
This was your first time editing, right, Ruth Anna? An anthology?
It is.
Do I have that right?
It is my first time editing an anthology.
All right. What is your overall, what's the vibe? Have you had a lot of fun? Has it been harder than you thought? What's your experience like?
It was really fun. I did most of the work in 2 weeks because I had Christmas break from school. So I just was at my kitchen table with my computer nonstop for 2 weeks. And the body horror I stuffed in my brain in that amount of time, I am a changed woman, let me tell you. And, I mean, people are really afraid of things crawling around under their skin. Let me tell you, they do not like that idea. And there's a few other things that I was like, wow, this isn't a fear I had before, but it's a fear I have now, because body horror gets in your head. So I don't know that I would love to edit any anthology or any type of work, but because I had picked something that I was currently like really interested in reading, it was a lot of fun.
And
That's really
such a
cool.
quick turnaround as well. 2 weeks to get all of that together is so impressive.
Let's see. So what happened in that 2 weeks was, 2 weeks prior to that, I put out the call. And then I had about 3 weeks where the stories were coming in. So I was just reading that whole time, accepting some here or there, putting some in the maybe pile. And then I edited as I went. I made the art as I went. So by the end of Christmas break, I had art for everybody, headshots from everybody, bios from everybody, and everybody picked. So now I can just like get the book out.
Okay, you're a tour de force, and you need to do this like all the time because this is so good.
Someone
like,
pay me.
Hear about it, like,
Yeah, that's the hard part.
Yeah.
Someone hire me because right now I'm paying to do this.
Okay,
so.
to be honest, I'm so impressed by this book that next time you want to do this, just let us know, and we will do a huge like GoFundMe, and we'll just get you the money for it because this is so impressive.
Well,
I do have to echo that. It is so crisp and clean. To be told that this is just like a few week project, I'm a little floored by it because it doesn't read in that way in any capacity. I didn't find a single error in it.
No, neither did I.
Typically, no matter how many people see it, you'll find something, but I didn't see anything that would cause me to question it at all. Very, very impressive.
Thank you very much. I had help. I definitely had help. Brandon Applegate with Hungry Shadow Press, he did the formatting, and then he gave me a lot of really important advice early on in the process. And then Tasha Reynolds, she did proofreading for me. So a lot of the, little things that might have snuck in, she helped keep those out. And she did that on trade too. So I'm in love with it. I just want to eat it. It's so good.
Yeah, it takes a village to make a oozy little baby. So it's good to see that help.
And I opened with an oozy little baby. My God,
yes.
I read that opener.
Oh God!
In bed, like falling asleep because us horror fanatics are like, let me read the most horrific thing I can imagine, and then drift off. And I was just like, so good though, in the best way.
Yeah, there were so many I wanted to start with, but that one, it was just so short and so like straight to your heart, and
it really set the tone, didn't it? It was
set a
perfect
tone.
starter.
Cassandra is a talented lady, and she does not have that much work out there right now, but I can't wait to see what she does next because that story, everybody who's read this anthology has mentioned that story.
It quite literally like reaches out and grabs you and pulls you in. Like, so it's like such a cool starter like that. And
it is the whole theme of the anthology. Like it perfectly encapsulates the entire pitch that you sold us on this idea. And then the first story is that idea. It's really perfect. So do you foresee yourself, Ruth Anna, editing more projects at all?
Yeah, I think that it could happen. It depends on my personal projects, but I'm going to be doing this for a long time. So I don't imagine that I won't have a space where it's like, okay, it's time to do something new. But it will have to be the right idea because there's no way I can read that amount of stories unless it is exactly what I want to read at exactly that moment. Because I'm not a person who can force myself through books at all. So it'll be short and it'll be a really cool idea, and then it'll happen quickly.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and I think like once people get their hands on this, they'll want to see more of your curation because it's very skillful. And just you talking about the process and how organized and expedient you were. Very, very cool.
The spreadsheet is big. It is a big spreadsheet.
Oh goodness, those spreadsheets.
I love a spreadsheet.
So Chelsea has given Elton and myself both like post-traumatic spreadsheet disorder because it's just every single thing is, well, did you put it on the spreadsheet? Did you put it on the spreadsheet?
Is it on the list? Put it in the document. Put it in the show notes. Let's go.
Yeah, nothing gets by her. She is a real taskmaster.
Every team needs one. Okay.
Every team needs one. Absolutely. It's always me too. I'm always the one.
We actually have a very unique opportunity here because this anthology, we have the editor here with Ruth Anna. We have Miss Chelsea Pumpkins, who has a story in this anthology. And then you also have Elton and myself, who did submit to the anthology, and we were rejected. So we are very pro rejection here. We love a good rejection, and you give good rejection. It actually was a whole topic when we were chatting about how collaborative and friendly your rejection was for both of us. We both had, you didn't know that we were connected yet. The rejections were great for both of us. I actually ended up taking your notes and, warping it into a full different scenario than what it was before.
Wow.
Much better story from that.
I would love to read it.
Oh, definitely. So you gave out these great rejections. Did you go in knowing that you were going to be collaborative and give those notes, or was it just a natural process?
I have not done that much submitting myself. So, because I've just been mostly self-publishing from the very beginning. So when I started getting these works and they were so good, I couldn't just say no and let it go at that. I felt like I had to give some sort of like, this story really is great. There's just some reason that I'm not picking it right now at this moment for this exact project. And I think as someone who had submitted a little bit, been rejected a little bit, gotten a little bit of work out there, I thought that when my stories were rejected, it's because they weren't good enough. I really deeply thought that. It's just this story wasn't good enough. Other stories were better. That's why it's not in there. And that's just not true. That is not true. There are stories that were rejected that still live in my head. There was this one story, I don't know who wrote it, but a girl got a pimple. And through the course of the story, she turned into a pimple. And at the end of the story, she was a pimple. And I mean, what a great, fantastic story. But at the moment that I read it, I was looking for a little bit more character and plot. And so that doesn't mean it wasn't a good story. You know what I mean? Like, and it could have had a great home, but I was looking for more character and plot. I might have been looking for something that was just a quick snapshot, and then I would have picked that story. So, it was the same thing with both of your stories, and why you got that feedback. They were exceptional stories. It was just at the moment I was looking for something a little bit different. So
yeah, I really appreciate the feedback from that as well. It did make me realize that there was a missing element of depth to the story that I did, and though I haven't revisited that story right now, it did take me through to my next story where I thought more about that process as I was writing it. So it was really valuable information for me to receive in such a kind way, and that's why we love you.
Aww. Well, that's awesome. And I don't want to spoil the end of that story because it will be published someday, but I will tell you, I loved the end of that story. It was not where I thought it was going. And it was ooey gooey. So yeah, very nice.
Yeah, I've not done a lot of body horror before, but that was my first try, and it's a work in progress. I'll finish it one day, but it does need that. There's a layer missing from it, like an onion with the middle missing. It's just not quite there yet.
I don't know. I just really love this conversation, and it's so rare that somebody who got a rejection gets to talk to the editor who gave it to them. And also, like, kudos to you. I don't think every editor would want to be face to face with someone they had to reject because it could be really awkward.
Not with you guys. You are the least awkward people. So
I don't believe you, but I appreciate it.
I had planned beforehand to just give you a really hard time and just be like, Ruth Anna, why did you do this to me? You ruined my life.
It's what you're really thinking. So
no, it's not at all. No. We appreciate you massively for coming on here and actually talking to us about this, because the point of this is to normalize rejection, because like you say, sometimes it just doesn't fit in that moment or in that particular anthology.
I was gonna say sometimes it does fit and it would be great, but there's something else that's also the same sort of fit, and you kind of just have to flip a coin a little bit. And so you ask here, you give it to a friend, hey, read these two stories, which one do you like better? So Brett, that was kind of a situation with your story, where yours was kind of neck and neck with another one that had a lot of the stories were very different, but it hit a lot of the same marks. Was the other story, and so I had to I wrestled with it for quite some time. And then that change that you suggested at the end when you came back to me at the very end, you were like, what if I did this? I was like, oh, yes. What if you had done that?
So that's actually similar to how I went with it. I did something similar, but instead of that, it was acid. And I really enjoy how it worked out. So, and
Yay.
every story I've read so far is fantastic. So whichever one beat mine deserved it.
I was going to say, have you gotten to it yet, Brett? Have you recognized it? And you can be like, I'll cut you.
I didn't know the information before, but I tend to reread. So in my next playthrough, this one, I'll hit it.
And then you'll cut her up.
I'll throw a fit.
It's a little
Take the Twitter
bit. But yeah, I don't know. I just love, it's so easy to, especially writers, can often be a little introspective and maybe a little isolated at times, and for a rejection to come back. And sometimes the piece has really personal elements that no one else would know are close to your heart, right? So sometimes a rejection does sting, but I think it's super helpful to hear from the people in the seat that it's not you. It's not you, it's me.
It's not. And I mean, some stories you could tell, not all stories. Some stories were definitely I read it and this is not what I asked for. So, you definitely do get those. Or there are some stories that, I said this was a hard sell and they tried anyway, and it was a hard sell. Yeah. So,
always read the guidelines, guys.
Yeah, always read the guidelines. And, if there's a length requirement, even though mine was more of a soft length requirement than some, I did put in there, I prefer shorter. And there are some people that went long with their stories, and not only was a word count on the higher end, but it felt like they hadn't done the cutting to make it a little burst. And so that was a reason for some rejections of some otherwise really quality stories. It was that they hadn't focused on the idea, okay, this is a little burst story.
Okay, so where can we buy this when it's available? It's available on the 1st of March, is that right?
Yes, it'll be dropping on the 1st of March on Amazon. And then I'm also going to be doing the Ingram process. So hopefully get it into some bookstores. I'm trying not to put too much pressure on myself to get that done at the same time as I do the Amazon thing. So it'll be sometime shortly thereafter that it'll be available to purchase for bookstores. But yeah, March 1st, right around the corner.
And it's available now for pre-order as well. We will link that in the notes accompanying the episode, so you guys can pick it up beforehand and just really enjoy this amazing piece of literature. It's fantastic. I cannot recommend it enough.
Thank you so much.
I think I saw on Twitter that you structured the paperback to be a really tiny, mass market size too, to kind of fit the theme. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yep, it is going to be mass market size. So
I can't wait.
4 inches wide, I think, 4 by 6, something like that. So
I'm going to buy 7 of them. I'm going to buy them all. I love that size.
And I will be ordering a few to sign and that kind of thing, but that's going to be a really small number because mailing them is an absolute pain in the butt. So I'm not going to be doing very many of those, but there will be a few available signed copies at the beginning, and I'll probably do some giveaways of some signed copies as well. So
let us know and we'll spread the word.
Yeah, we are always willing for a good retweet or just a big shout out for people that we admire, and you are high up on our list of people we admire. And this is,
you guys are awesome.
Been so good.
It's going to be the cutest, most disgusting book ever. I can't wait to just hold it in my hands.
I mean, the cover is cysts. It's bright pink cysts, and that was such a fun cover to make because I was just Googling medical textbooks or medical drawings, medical art of disgusting body disfigurements, and gross things, and some really gross things can happen to the human body in the course of natural events. And I'm just like looking there, and when I saw the cysts and like the I think they were like sliced up tumors or something that ended up on the cover. I'm like, oh yeah.
Give me more.
It's not an episode if we don't send Chelsea Googling.
I know. Now I'm like, I need to look at it again.
Oh, I've seen some horrifying things like that in my time. I have seen some gross things.
So Ruth Anna, you do a lot of different book covers. And I know that you mentioned earlier that you went through like a design phase during a bipolar episode. So how do you crank them out so quickly? Because you make quite a few covers and they look great. So
thanks. I do covers to relax. That's kind of like when I'm in that zone is a really happy place for me. So it's not like work per se. So I think that's one of the reasons the turnaround on them is so fast. Plus I have my daughter who helps me a lot in terms of like, I've always got somebody who will run over and give me feedback. And I think that's one of the hard things about covers is like, you've got to have that constant feedback of, does this look good? How's this font? And, what about that placement? And then, is this change a good change? And that kind of thing. And so with her help, she's only 13, but she has got a future in the arts for sure, because I've got that second set of eyes for me that I think is one of the reasons that I'm able to do these so quickly. And then, like I said, I just do them in the zone. Now, some of them do not. The No One Can Help You cover took me weeks, just because it was such a simple cover. It was, the child's coffin in black and white on the sea of blood red.
I'm looking at it right now.
Googling it right
now. It was such a simple cover, so everything about it had to be perfect. And I was a lot newer to the tools of Photoshop at that point. So it's been a huge learning process. And then NW reader Christina from Trueborn Designs, she's sort of been mentoring me in terms of like learning how to do Photoshop and what looks good, and like, okay, so what next step do I need to take as an artist in order to polish my covers up a little bit more and that kind of thing. And I just cannot thank her enough. So that's one of the reasons that I've gotten better at covers as well. But they're not all good. So like I just released a short story, Accidental Death, and
it's
the first cover.
It's amazing. I read it earlier and it's so good. Oh my God.
Thank you. And I felt like the first cover just kind of tanked on that one, and I don't feel like it did justice to it. And I released it before I should have. And so I just did a new one. So that's the amazing part of being able to do your own covers and being willing to try to do your own covers, is that if you screw one up, just do it again. Just try again.
And the new cover for that story is amazing. It really captures that one pinnacle point in the story where it just keeps going back to, and I love that. I loved it completely. And my Kindle updated this morning with the new cover. And,
good.
Oh yes, very good.
Is this the new one that I'm looking at now with the yellow and red?
It has a car.
Okay, yeah, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
I love it.
I was looking at it thinking maybe it hadn't updated. I don't see any problem with it.
The first one, I didn't realize it, but apparently it's very similar to some that have like religious references. So it had like a spiritual kind of vibe to it that I hadn't really thought about, because I'm not, particularly spiritual person, but like a bearded man in fire, and like it was not hitting the right notes.
Yeah, the story's much more sort of from a sort of quasi supernatural sort of perspective as opposed to a spiritual perspective. And it asks a lot from like sort of the moral quandary of what would you do, and if your conscience could handle it, would you take something back for yourself when it requires the sacrifice of someone else? I'm not going to give the story away because it's a fantastic story. We're going to link that below as well. You have to read this story. It's available on Kindle Unlimited. Am I right?
It is. It's on KU.
Oh, sorry.
Yes,
I was reading it.
It's so good. So good.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's 99 cents otherwise.
Am I correct in understanding that you do offer cover design, like you do pre-formatted, pre-done covers that you offer up on Twitter?
Yeah, I've got some pre-mades on my website, and then I post them on Twitter sometimes when I'm going through like after work, I sit down, I have a glass of wine, I make a cover. So if you have a short story idea and you send it to me, I can pop out a cover for you. And if you don't like it, that's okay, because it took me, one evening and I enjoyed making it. But so, yeah, my website, RuthAnnaEvans.com. I've got a cover design page on there. It's got all my pre-mades and then what I charge for making custom. And then if you already have like a cover, but you want to turn it into a wrap, I do know how to make a wrap for Amazon and that kind of thing. So I'll do that for like $15.
What I love is that you give this much attention and care and creativity to short stories. Like that is something you don't see often. I think a lot of times people don't think like you need a cover for a short story. And the three of us were kind of talking in advance, like, I forget, one of us had heard that you consider 5,000 words publishable or whatever. And I was just curious, like if you could talk about your perspective on that, because I really admire it.
Well, I don't see why not. I mean, people like to read short stories, and why wait until you have enough for an anthology to let someone read what you've written? Like, if you love it and you think they'll love it, and it doesn't, if you're willing to try to make your own cover art or get it or trade with a friend for it or something like that, why not? It's really not that difficult to put something up on Amazon. But it has to be clean. That's the thing about publishing short stories that short. Like it really, you need to make sure that you don't have a lot of typos. You're used a formatting software. You're not just throwing a Word document up there. But if you're willing to make a professional piece, I don't think it matters that it's short. People like to read short stories. It's not going to do as well as like you're not going to make money on short stories. You'll make in the tens of dollars,
especially
maybe
on Amazon when they take all of your money for doing it.
Yeah, you are not making money on short stories. So if that's your goal, wait, do the anthology, do the 3-month marketing push, do all of the things. But if your goal is to be read and to have an engaged audience and to give the people who read you something to continue to read, then publish your short stories. And then way too many amazing authors have piles of short stories edited, polished, sitting on their computer, getting rejection after rejection for these calls that get 500 submissions and pick 10 stories. And we could be reading those.
I love that.
That's actually my personal reason why I joined a lot of writing groups, is because I feel like I get my own personal little collection, like a little library of all of this fiction that people throw at me so that, pretend to beta read. But that's the whole goal of us is not at all money. Obviously, we're indie fanatics. So that's exactly the example. Yeah. We're here to push out good fiction. So
yes. If you're doing good work, let people read your work.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I've definitely subscribed to like a few like Substacks and newsletters, and sometimes people publish that way. How come, and if there's no real answer, it's fine, but what made you choose like the Amazon route versus like putting it on your website or something like that?
I do push out through newsletters. If it's less than 5 or 6,000 words, I like 6,000, but 5,000 words is my minimum. If it's only 5,000, I'll probably put like a mini, like a flash or something with it. But I do push out flash stories to my newsletter pretty regularly. Publishing to my website hasn't done anything at all.
Okay.
Like it's just been a flat line. And you also don't get the feedback. That's the other reason I use Amazon, is you get those reviews, you get that feedback. And that really helps you keep writing when you have somebody who cares that you're writing.
Yeah, your reviews are impeccable on a lot of your work, and I'm really impressed by that. And you haven't always been writing horror, have you? You're a recent convert in terms of
not for that long. I'd say pushing 2 years, not quite 2 years that I've been writing horror, and I actually haven't written fiction for very long either. I grew up a hardcore reader. but I never really had ideas to write fiction until I came to the idea of writing horror. And then once I realized that I could write about what scares me, and those are ideas, it's just kind of not stopped since. So I'm just happy that my muse got activated at some point, and then I plugged into this whole community of people who are just amazing and supportive and helpful, and it's just turned into a whole big thing.
And it's so good to see you feel that supported as well. This is the kind of thing we want from a community, is just to be as supportive as possible to all the people out there. And in your work, it's incredibly impressive. But you do have sort of quite heavily lean into a topic of parenthood, and often sort of the loss of a child. Is there something that attracts you to writing about that from that kind of point of view? Or?
I would say that is probably my greatest fear, is losing my child. And so, like I said, I write from my fears, I write from my real life fears, and then I kind of escalate them and sometimes add a supernatural element. But accidental death is probably going to be the last one I do for a while with that perspective. It was one that was kind of hanging on after I finished the collection. And it didn't get written for the collection, and it kind of just wouldn't leave me alone until I wrote it. But it is based in a real life fear, and just, I'm not a doom and gloom person on the outside at all, but inside I'm always kind of like a little bit worst case scenario. So, there can always be that car crash. There can always be that mistake that you make, that you can never take back. And so it sort of occupies a lot of my mental space. But I think I've gotten that out of my system. I think I've gotten the child loss out of my system.
It's very interesting that's the reasoning for it, because I kind of expected that would be your answer. It's my fear as well. I have my daughter, and my greatest fear is losing her, but I take it in the opposite kind of way as yours. I know that you find it, I guess, cathartic to write it out, to push those things out, but it sends me just into just all this anxiety. I'm working through it. I've been actually trying to read things where that is the focus. So it's very neat that our fears take us in different directions, where you can find it cathartic to write it, whereas I have that opposite reaction to it. And I think that's so neat.
Yeah.
Working through it though. I'm getting there. I can
exposure therapy.
We're here for
yeah,
you.
that's what I'm doing basically. So
I want to take us a little bit of a step back, if that's okay, for a minute. But throughout your answers today, you've mentioned community a bunch of times, and that's something I feel very strongly about too in the horror world. Like, I am also a new writer, like a couple of years now. I would consider that new. And without the support of readers, like you were saying, like reviews mean so much. And then also like just people having different sort of skills and wisdom and knowledge have been super helpful to me. So I wanted to know where you find your community. How do you find your people?
Well, it's social media for me, really. I feel like, a lot of people may dog on Twitter, but if you use it right and you curate your feed and you connect with people that are positive people and don't connect with people who are not positive people, it's just like this lively community of people who love books and love talking about books and love writing and talking about writing and love art and love talking about art. And I can't think of anything better than that. And then they just, there's cheerleaders, on there who, and I've made some really close friends that we talk on a daily basis, that I wouldn't otherwise have. And so that's been amazing. And then Facebook has a really thriving horror community as well. And I know that a lot of people on Twitter don't know that, but there is a thriving horror community on Facebook, a lot of really great people. There's Books of Horror, which is a massive page of people who love horror, and they allow you to self-promote if within reason. And then, but they'll just promote each other's book, or that, like Judith Sonnet, they've picked her up and just run with her, and
I love Judith.
Roland Bursey Jr. is on there, and there's just a lot of people on Facebook that have helped me with my craft. I would say there's a lot of really good craft groups on there as well. So that Facebook is where I go for like my craft help and my beta reading help, and my if I need reviews for something and that kind of thing. That side of it. And then Twitter is where I go for like people who just like the love fest, the horror love fest.
That's awesome. I was talking to a friend recently about Ooze and about my story in it. And I was saying, like, I'm awesome, so happy. Thank you. I was saying I'm so happy. I mean, an acceptance in a publishing always feels really good, but I was like, I'm so happy I end up here because I feel like I have a new friend, and that is the best. Like, just being able to chat with you back and forth, and I don't know, we all like craft talk and editing and beta reading too. So I think you can consider us part of your community if you'll have us.
We are the cheerleaders. Yeah. We are the new cheerleaders for Ruth Anna Evans.
Absolutely.
Yay.
It's a whole big thing, and I love it.
Yeah, I kind of find that Facebook's more of a like sort of a stomping ground for more extreme horror and splatterpunk, whereas Twitter tends to attract the more literary crowd. Is that fair to say?
I agree with that. The books of horror, actually, Ruth Anna, I think I've seen you on there. I'm in that group as well. They do bring forth a lot of really extreme horror, and I love it. Horror is meant to push boundaries, so extreme horror is just a facet of that. I know a lot of people don't understand it, but I guess once you desensitize enough to this piece, you got to push it.
But then also, if you're looking for a book recommendation, that is absolutely the place to go.
Yes.
Because those people have read everything, and it's wild. I know I was looking for a cold weather horror in the ocean. I wanted something cold and in the ocean, and I got so many recommendations that were just like dead on the nail. So if you need a book recommendation in horror, you're going to get 100. It's wild.
Wow.
We're definitely going to link to Books of Horror Facebook group because that sounds incredible.
Oh, I left Facebook over the past few years because it was just draining my mental health, but this makes me want to rejoin.
So
I
get in
have
these
to curate
groups.
your wall.
I know, you really do. It was not good for me at the time, but I'm like, maybe I should just get back in for writing.
Yeah, mine's just Judith Sonnet, extreme horror, and just memes all the way through. That's all it ever comes out.
Instead of just leaving fully, I left every single group that I was in except for Books of Horror, and I just deleted almost all my friends except for like a few close friends and authors that I really like. And I mean, Facebook is solid for me now.
Yeah, wow. I made a special page for Ruth Anna Evans and just made horror friends only on there, and followed horror book groups only on there. And there's no politics, there's no annoying memes, and then the first time somebody puts something out there that I don't enjoy, we're not friends anymore, and that's fine too. They'll never bother me again. So it's really easy to block them off.
All right, you all are inspiring me. I'll consider it.
Facebook is missing a Chelsea Pumpkins page.
You'll be my first friend. Sorry, I made this about me.
Always
didn't mean
you,
to.
God.
Let's make it about Ruth again. Ruth Anna, sorry.
That's totally okay.
Cause everybody sees, everyone but me, that my Valentine dirty smokes and wine as you walked away from me. I hope you're happy now that
I think it's time for the readings, because I'm desperate to hear Ruth Anna read that story out loud. There's something very, very different about hearing an author read their story in their voice. And I read the story and I thought it was wonderful, but I have a feeling that I'm going to get more of an attachment to it when you read it out loud.
Yeah. Before we get into that, Ruth Anna, is there anything else you wanted to let the public know? We'll do your socials at the end, or like the where to find you. But is there any other topic you wanted to talk about, or a story you wanted to plug?
I want to thank everybody who submitted for Ooze, because that was a crazy cool experience. And I got some really great work, and the time and effort that it takes to submit following guidelines is a lot. And, almost everything that I got followed the guidelines and was cleanly formatted. And, it was perfect. It was perfect. And you guys did a great job, everybody who submitted. So I just want to thank everyone for making it such a great book.
Well, thanks for making it a great experience all around. You're doing great. Nice big group hug.
Just big group hug to the world right now.
All right. Well, thank you. And with that, let's do a little round robin of reading. So, Ruth Anna, we're going to have you go first. And if you could just give the title of your piece, and if it's published somewhere else that you want to mention, go for that. And once you're done, we'll probably ask questions and gush over you.
Okay. So this is Persaya and the Mail, and it is not published anywhere. This was a newsletter giveaway. So you asked me for a Valentine's Day story, and I was this is perfect. This is a perfect horror Valentine's Day story. So
Awesome.
Persaya is an octopus, and that's pretty much all you need to know. All right. Persaya shrunk herself into the rock's crevice, whipping her tentacles in behind her and hoping that when she looked back out, the male would be gone. He had been hanging around for hours. Black stripes fluttered and flew across his skin while Persaya matched the sand and rock around her, hoping he was dumb and would think she had disappeared, or smart and would realize she wasn't in the mood. He was neither, and approached again, his body stretched tall, flashing his signs. Her gills quivered in annoyance. He wasn't taking the hint. In a flash, she swept her body out and toward him. His hedicotylis darted toward her mantle, and she allowed him a quick dip in, then twisted and broke it off inside of her. It made a satisfying snap. He recoiled, too late. Persaya wrapped her tentacles around his body and attached her suckers to his skin. His alarm at her size and strength turned his skin a delicious reddish pink. He shuddered as she took the first bite. Hours later, his tentacles still wiggled satisfyingly in her stomach. She had been in the mood, after all.
Good job. So good.
Very wrong.
It's so
Perfect.
good, though. It's so cathartic. Like, he got what he deserved.
He should have
And,
left her alone.
Yes, God, not in the mood.
Stop telling women to smile, octopus. Jesus.
My husband read it and he was like, "Are you trying to say something?" And I was like, "No, honey, I promise it's just a story." It's about octopuses, and that's really what happens. That's really what happens when the octopuses have sex.
Oh my God.
The men do not make it through.
Oh, yikes.
Like praying
Oh my God, I didn't know
mantises.
that. It's amazing.
Yeah, actual research went into Persaya and the Mail.
Isn't it funny the things you as a writer Google? Because I was talking to somebody recently and I was like, you have no idea the most horrifying shit I have Googled. Like, I must be on so many lists.
Oh, God. Tell me about it.
But I love like using that. I don't know. It was just using the octopus to tell that story was a really cool vehicle. And like, I could like feel the like swishiness of it. I loved it.
But it was also like really Me Too. Like, I love the fact that it was like a feminist piece as well. Like, it's not just, it's an allegory. And I love that. Or I'm reading too much into it. But like, I love those stories that kind of take a completely different format or a different species or a different space in time and just tell you a story that could be so relevant to the world today.
Yeah. Oh, I hear some pups. Whose pups are those?
They're locked up in as far away as I can get them, but they're gonna bark.
That's okay.
We
all love dogs. Everyone loves dogs.
I know.
Well, all of us love dogs, but Chelsea loves them barking.
I think it's cute that they want to be on the podcast. They're welcome.
They are officially honorary queens.
All right. They're pretty excited about that.
So up next, we have Brett, and he is going to read us a drabble. And a drabble is an exactly 100-word story, for those of you who don't know. I cannot speak for Ruth Anna, but you can let us know. But the three of us queens have written and published a few drabbles ourselves. So we like the art. We like the challenge of fitting something into 100 words. And
I hate it. It's too hard.
I love drabbles.
But you did it, and you did a great job.
I did, but I hate
not having this argument with you again, Elton. he's trying to quit drabbling, and we haven't decided yet.
I haven't written one in a while. I need to get back into it. But all right, Brett, title, where we can find it, and take it away.
Yeah, so this one is actually, by the time this podcast comes out, this released on February 4th in Love Me and Love Me Not, I think is from Black Hair Press. Geez. Love Me Not.
You had Black one job.
And I got it right the first time. So this one, I actually have 10 drabbles in this collection that came out on February 4th. This is one of them. And it is the Love Me Not is completely like love, romance, Valentine's Day horror. So and this one is called Homemade with Love. Guiding her hand, we marked out the letters in washable marker. To Marcus, love Leslie. I swear it brought a tear to her eye. Great job, I exclaimed. This is looking really neat. Now for the final touch. Carefully, I cut out the heart. It wasn't perfect, but that's what happens when you do homemade. After slathering the glue, we sprinkled glitter across it and the construction paper. I ran my hand down her cold cheek, leaving a smear of blood. Crafting gets messy sometimes. She didn't want to give me her heart this Valentine's Day, so I took it.
Ooh.
Ooh, exactly 100 words.
That went straight down my back.
You put a lot in that 100 words. Nice.
It's too hard. How did you do that? Like, I don't understand how people can put a story, like more words for me is better. I love words. And like to condense a story down to 100 words, it's so impressive.
Nice work, Brett. That was awesome.
I really love drabbling. So I wrote
You're
a whole
the
bunch
king
for
of
this
drabbles.
one.
You've got 10 drabbles in that anthology that's coming out, haven't you?
Yeah, I have 10 in that one. But
wow.
We're
awesome.
queens here, though. So
yeah, you're the queen of travels, actually, not the king.
Queen of travels.
Fuck the patriarchy. You're the queen of travels. That was awesome. I loved the take on a Valentine, and it's perfect for our special. All right,
very
Elton.
special.
Yes.
Okay, so I can't stick to 100 words, so mine's a bit longer. But it's not also about romance as such, as more self-acceptance. This piece is called Glasgow Grin. It is unpublished anywhere else, and I'm reading it because I didn't have time to write anything original. So sorry. It's not as funny as it sounds, not the way I tell it, but to hear me speak about it, you'd think it was a riot. It's different for different people, stroke victims, ALS, injury, Alzheimer's, or Parkinson's. For me, it's just good old-fashioned trauma, car accident, aged 8, loose grip on a rainy road in a car with my dad, taking a corner while drunk, and now I'm different. Next thing you know, you're sitting front and center at your dad's funeral, and you're surrounded by all family members weeping for the loss. The car wreck didn't kill him, but the injuries eventually did. And for some reason, like some cosmic joke, all you can do is laugh. They call it pseudobulbar effect, or PBA, a neurological affliction which makes you prone to uncontrollable bursts of emotion, laughter, or tears. You have no control over it. It just is. And now it's part of your life and it's never going to change. One traumatic blow to the head, and I'm a character of a villain in a comic book. I'm the punchline of a bare naked lady's song. Can't understand what I mean? You soon will. So I'm 8 and I'm neurologically inclined to burst into hysterics at the smallest sadness. The tiniest chuckle turns into floods of tears or manic laughter. Mum decides it's best to homeschool me, and for the next 10 years, I'm sequestered, safe and indoors. I'm just some kid with no friends for a decade. But you can't teach college from your mum's lounge. Can't learn from people who know better than you from the comfort of your dining room table. It's been long enough, so I head to college. Community college, because it's close and I'm not that smart, since I was educated by a grieving widow who had no idea what to do with me. No campus housing, it's low-grade community college, so it's staying home nights and doing classes during the day. And Mum says, be careful when I go. And sometimes I can't go because the smallest amount of human emotion can render me useless, reduce me to tears, or have me pissing my pants laughing. But I go and I study writing, and I write the kind of stories meant to make you cry or laugh or scream, the kind that are meant to make your emotions blow out of control over something so trivial. And I get friends and we hang out after class, group hangs, where I learn my limits, learn how to downplay and control the PBA. I learn that 3 drinks are my limit, vodka, beer, or wine. I learn that I can feel it coming on when the conversation changes. Learn that if the tone drops or rises too far, I have to go. If it's too jovial, I can't stay long. Anything bad happens, I have 10 minutes before I'm over or underreacting in a way to make people think I've lost my damn mind. I have a social life for the first time since I was a kid. It's incredible, until it's not. With PBA, you can't get complacent, and one night I do. One night I have a 4th drink. It's okay, and I'm fine, and a 5th, and a 6th. And we're in a club, and we're dancing. It's dark, and the lights are down, and the music is too loud. I'm sweating and I'm unhinged, but no one can hear me laugh in the dark. I can cry and it doesn't matter. I wipe it away like sweat and it's like being free. But I'm not free. And the laughing and the strobe lights. I look around at all the people there enjoying what I should be able to enjoy, living their lives. And this guy looks over and I'm laughing. And I can't stop laughing, hysterical, way beyond my limits. And there are tears pouring out of my eyes. The music is so loud and the strobe lights are flickering and he's mad as hell. In the dark, he thinks I'm laughing at him. No one notices him push me into the corner. The beat drops and my back's against the wall, laughing my ass off because I've drunk too much and I'm about to get into my first fight ever. And this guy, he pins me to the wall and he's shouting these inaudible words at me. And I'm laughing and laughing. And under the strobe lights, there's a glint of a knife and I'm laughing. He holds my hysterical mouth open and he slits open my cheek on the right side an inch. It's instant pain juxtaposed by a possessed laugh. Same on the left. It's a utility knife, so with the blood and the blade, everything tastes like copper pennies and I can't stop laughing. But as I laugh, the cuts in my cheek, they rip upwards, pull and tear, and this huge smile carves its way into my face permanently. It's dark, it's a corner, and no one can see me pinned by this guy, my mouth carved into a permanent grin. So now I have to stay home. And I cry more than I laugh. But it doesn't matter, because on my face, I'm always caught in this crude laugh. And now I don't drink anymore. I stay away from social situations. I keep to myself. It's not funny, but I laugh. What else can I do?
Damn.
That was intense.
It's a very intense for a
Yeah.
Valentine's special story.
That one gave me chills.
That was really good, Elton.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I need the words, and all of my words in that story were and. I don't know if you noticed or not. I can't stop saying and.
It wasn't distracting to me.
Yeah, whatever you did, it worked.
Thanks.
Mhm. You're so good at voice, Elton. Like after reading Fuck You, Mary Sue, and then having read some of your other stuff, you just really nail it. So good job.
Thanks. Oh, you're so sweet. Oh, I think I like you again now. I didn't.
Oh,
Like you
now we're friends again.
earlier. We're always friends. You're my favorite.
You make me laugh and you make me cry, just like your character.
Oh,
You
also
make me cringe a little bit.
always.
I was physically cringing when you were talking about the slitting the cheek thing.
Oh,
yeah, that's pretty gross.
Ripping.
And that is actually called a Glasgow grin, hence the name.
Ugh,
Yeah, it's a real thing.
big yikes.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah.
Wow.
Treat there for you. Chelsea.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
With love. Chelsea, you're up next. What have you got for us?
Okay, I'm going to also read a drabble. So a nice little short one. It was also originally published by Black Hair Press in their Halloween themed anthology called Nom Nom. And we'll link that
Nom,
too.
nom, 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 nom.
Black Hair Press is a great, I don't know, they're just a great place. They are super supportive and into drabble, so I really enjoy them. And this piece is called Float. It's a lovely night for a float on the river, don't you think? The cover of night, bullfrogs crooning, just you and me. I gently lower you into the cool water. We don't make a splash, don't make a sound. Our secret rendezvous bubbles in my chest to my throat. I cover my giggle with your hand. Wading in behind you, I hold your waist against the current. I press my lips to yours and cherish our last moment together. Then I let you go. Your pale skin glows in the starlight as you float face down towards your ever after. The end.
Oh,
I love it.
That was very romantic.
It was.
Yeah.
It was
Is it?
Yeah.
It was really tender. I loved that. It was like
Yeah,
brutally tender.
this is the perfect one to end on.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I thought my and Brett's were a little bit similar, so I split us up.
What, just that they were about love and like carving up your loved ones. Yeah.
Yeah, just dastardly
We're
moments.
horror writers and it's Valentine's Day. What can we do besides carve up the ones we love? Ruth Anna, tell us about your socials. Where can we find you? Tell us everything about you.
You can find me mostly on Twitter at Ruth Anna Evans, and I'm also on Facebook, Ruth Anna Evans, and ruthannaevans.com.
Awesome.
All right.
Perfect.
We will link all of those below.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay. So this has been the Cutthroat Queens podcast. Brett Mitchell Kent has been your host. Chelsea Pumpkins. Woo! And we've been joined by Ruth. I don't know. I'm drunk. Leave me alone.
This is horrible.
I know.
Do we want to start
I might have to go back and re-record this when I'm a bit more sober. To be honest, I've lost it. I've just lost the plot.
All right. Well, then, how about Ruth Anna? Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope everybody buys Ooze instantly and enjoys those little bursts of horror. I, for one, am so excited to finish reading it myself.
Same.
Thank you.
All right. Cut. Elton, you can do your outro when you're more
Oh
sober.
my God, I'm so sorry. Just to put this in
It's like
perspective,
3:00 in the afternoon where I am. What time is it there?
it's 9:30 where I am.
And now I'm going down. Fell at a cheap hotel. It wasn't right and it wasn't respectable to share having it your way. Don't look at me like you were responsible. Please had a twisted ruse. An eye for an eye, cause I'm making a spectacle. Cut the crap, baby, it's a wrap. From memories, but the feeling's not mutual. Cause everybody sees, everyone but me, that my Valentine turned to smokes and wine as you walked away from me. I hope you're happy.